Okay. There we go. I believe we are almost live.
Okay.
I believe we are now live via YouTube. Just we need to obtain the galaxyfui.net connection.
Oh, what you need the link for?
There we go. Okay. Lady Chelsea, over to you for the moment.
Hi everyone, good morning. This is the Demotivator show with the Demotivator and me, Lady Chelsea. I hope everyone's having a great start of the morning. Things are getting, I suppose, a little brighter and warmer. So I hope that cheers everyone up. I suppose we'll just Demotivator's just doing something for the show, and else will be joining us a little later. So we'll just start with the thank yous. Thank you to all the engineers, technicians and stuff who make this show possible. 24 hours a day with every show supporting shows and hosts and stuff. So we thank you for that. Guest contributors that come on and help inform, etc. Presenters that have been presenting throughout the show up till now, thank you for your shows, entertainment, information. Yeah, that comes through. And to everyone that listens every week or so often. Okay, sorry. Every week that listens in every week and calls in and brings something to the shows and listen. We really appreciate it. I suppose we'll quickly go on to the health messages that Demotivate does. So as you know, it's all important for mental and emotional health. I think that's something that me on the show, continue to show and ask for everyone to show their importance and be aware of not only everyone else's mental health, but their own. It's not healthy to ignore it. It's best to be open. There are many resources and things out there for people. It's not just CBT therapy, it's just talking to somebody. There's deeper levels of it. There's nature therapy, there's music therapy, there's stuff online, there's self-help books. If you're religious, falling back on God and your beliefs, whatever they are, to help you through things. And even when you're not going through things and things are positive and happy and you're there and you've still got that faith and belief, and most importantly, looking for that faith, belief, worth, love in yourself. That's the main thing that will keep us going. Without that in life, it's always as good as it should be if we don't have those things and validate ourselves. Looking for validation outside of ourselves isn't healthy. It's not good. It's not what we need, basically. So I feel like that all leads up to like self-love is under the umbrella of self-love and care, which is now more important and more open. We live in a society where we're allowed. Sorry?
Oh, are we there?
Oh. I can hear you.
Back up. Okay, I want to just double check later. Continue, Lady Chelsea.
Okay.
We'll be for the moment. Make sure we are still we should.
Yeah. I forgot what I said. Something about self-love. Yeah. Society's more open with it. So no matter what age you are, I think, you're allowed and should feel comfortable with being able to say what you're going through. even if just with family and friends, just find somebody and like a group of people that can become your like support system. I think that is healthy. Or it is healthy. I think it is healthy, and it's something that everybody needs when you go through things alone. Yeah, with emotional help, just learning to continue to develop as a person, always, no matter what age you are, is always something you can learn or something you can go back to and right your wrongs, and have nothing on your chest and like grow from that. I think that would help everybody, and I think it would help more people than you would think. Nothing is too small. It's also like, so physical health, I think we need to go back to not just nutrition and stuff. Like, we don't exercise, I believe, from what I've read, it's kind of void. So every day we're doing some sort of daily exercise, even if it's just a walk, and that's all you're capable of. Just, go out and have a walk. There's YouTube tutorials, there's gyms have classes. You can buy lots of stuff off Amazon. I have skipping ropes and weights and yoga mats and all that kind of stuff. So it's accessible, it's affordable, and everyone should be doing that at least weekly. Yeah, then obviously there's obvious of nutrition and food, food and everything. So if we make sure, as the motivator says every week, reduce your salts and seasonings, and it's like it has different names. So we look out for that and not putting too much on everything. We don't need to over season. As opposed to learning what over seasoning is and then not doing it. So we can prevent things like high blood pressure and diabetes, adding sugar to your drinks and having snacks all the time. If you need sweet things, fruit, sweet, grapes, love grapes, grapes are great, bananas, all that kind of stuff, they're all sweet foods. So kind of like to scratch that itch of having some kind of sugar, and natural sugars that we can have in proportion as well. That would be good. Okay, you're back now.
When there's a crisis, we call upon a woman. Thank you. And of course, this is the month for women on this program, Lady Chelsea. Thank you. At the last possible moment, what could go wrong went wrong, of course. But never mind. You did extremely well. Huh? When put you under pressure, when you put a strong woman under pressure, she rises to the occasion. Okay. Don't you forget that, Lady Chelsea. Don't you forget that, We, this parent generation of yours, have great ambitions for you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Blessings, blessings, blessings. Now then, and as Lady Chelsea said, let's give, first of all, a quick and robust appreciation to the Galaxy management. Yeah. Give recognition, of course, to the founder and the leader of Galaxy Radio, Chief Incomparable. Okay. Let's give recognition to Elder Elkute, who I have yet to speak to for a while. Let's give recognition to Dr. Man Abu Ratata. Let's give recognition, of course, to that longest serving pilot, Nickel, the most royal. But never forgetting the woman who makes up for all of those men, the solution finder, Empress Shanice. Yeah? If you've got a problem, you've got an issue, if you need information, go to Empress Shanice. Yeah? The mother of Galaxy Radio. Yeah? I want to give praise to her and much appreciation. This is the month for women, for us to recognize the strength of the woman, as clearly Lady Chelsea has just demonstrated. It is true, Lady Chelsea. Absolutely.
I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah, take it as part of your consciousness and take it forward in all your studies and all your adventures for the future. Yeah, that's the message. That's why this program, these programs are so important. The motivator, where we translate the words into action. Remember, success is ours for the taking. Yeah, it's a mindset. It's ours for the taking. Okay. Now I want to move on very quickly to those wonderful health messages that Lady Chelsea was given light to. Yeah, we're not giving you instructions. We're not giving you demands. We're not giving you commands. We ask you to consider. Lady Chelsea, is that right? We simply ask people to consider, and you make your own decisions in your own self-interest. I think that's the way forward. That is always the way forward. So as Lady Chelsea said, consider the amount of sugar you're ingesting into your bodies. Adding those cakes, additional sugars to your teas and coffee, those so-called soft drinks, and all those other really syrupy so-called foodstuffs that you ingest into your body. We ask you to consider the amount that you're ingesting. And remember, sorry, could the caller on 2911 mute your phone, please? And we ask you to consider what Professor Hilary Bickle said, the Vice Chancellor of the Universities of West Indies, which is in the top 1% of the best universities across the globe, across the world. What he pointed out, that there is an epidemic of diabetes in the Caribbean, in the Americas, here indeed in Europe. And these are essentially lifestyle conditions. In other words, we can prevent it by reducing the amount of sugar, or at least thinking about the amount of sugar we're ingesting each day. Do we really need it? Okay. Is that true, Lady Chelsea? Is that true?
Yeah.
Most certainly. Most certainly. It's hard if you've been indoctrinated as a child to go to the sweet shop and buy sweets. It's hard if your parents have given you sweets and chocolate and all those sweetie, syrupy things as a child. So it's become part of your consciousness, way of being. But actually, I say to all parents, you are harming our children. Yeah, we do not need these extra sugars in our diet. Okay, give the child fruits and vegetables. Give that child a carrot. Yeah, give the child those things that will empower that child's body, empower that child's spirit. Yeah, give that child those types of food. Equally, we talk about salt and the amount of salt that is going into our bodies. Yeah. Again, do you really need to add salt to the rice and peas, or salt to the seed that Chelsea just mentioned? You know, do you really need to add salt to the whole range of foodstuffs we take in, and particularly noting salt content of those processed foods, those ready-made foods, which of course contain what is generally classified as being hidden sugars, or hidden salts, I should say. You know, we ask people to consider how much salt they're ingesting and the impact that salt has on your body: hypertension, hardened arteries, difficulties with your heart. Yeah. We also ask you to consider the amount of fat you're ingesting. Fat is one of those perennial things we find we cannot avoid. Fat in meats, fat in dairy products. You know, the butter is just fat. Isn't it just fat, Lady Chelsea?
Yeah.
The milk, that's just bovine lactose, which is another fat. The milk is just fat, you know, cow's fat. Yeah. Of course, butter is just another form of cow's fat, you know. We ask you to consider the amount of fat you're ingesting, and particularly when you see those white things in the meat and those prime beef. Yeah, I like to give that comparison. Oh my dear, you know, you pay the same price for the prime beef as you would for its fat. Can you imagine what a wheeze that is? You know. We also ask you to consider the amount of carbohydrates you're ingesting, and carbohydrates is very much in these either in wheat products, you know, in wheat products, or indeed a lot of these traditional root vegetables that we eat, you know, like the yam and the potatoes, you know, particularly the yam and particularly those so-called Egyptian, here in Europe, Irish potatoes. Okay. The sweet potato is not so, well, I say that, I need to get the nutritionists to talk about that, the question of sweet potatoes versus the Egyptian potatoes. But what I'm informed is that the carbohydrate content in our diet is too high, because our bodies convert the carbohydrate into what? Into sugars and fat, and we store it around our organs, yeah? And as you get older, remember, it doesn't affect you today or tomorrow or next week or next month or next year or maybe next 10 years, but it has a cumulative impact upon your bodies. But let me not go on too long, but I want to just focus on the remedies. Without a shadow of a doubt, as I said, we get the nutritionists here one day. It is essential for us to eat as much fruits and vegetables, because those are the natural foods our bodies crave. It's essential that we drink the appropriate amount of water, but 1, 2, 3 liters, depending upon your size and body mass. Seek professional advice. Don't take my word for it. You seek professional advice, okay? Ensure your diet is balanced. You know, occasionally these multivitamin tablets have some use, okay? But you can get all the vitamins from the foods you eat. So a whole range of fruit and vegetables, not just one restricted form of fruits and vegetables, you know? I'm going through a passion, you know, for avocados these days. Ask me why, I don't know, but my body is craving avocados, Lady Chelsea, you know? I'm just following my instincts, and my body says that's what it needs. I'm going to give it to it. Well, I know avocados is full of vitamins, nutrients that our bodies, those trace minerals that our bodies crave. And maybe this is time of year for me to ingest those trace minerals, those vitamins, those nutrients right now from avocados. Ask me why, but that's what I need apparently. You know, and I feel better. Lady Chelsea, stronger, vigorous. I feel alive, Lady Chelsea. Huh? How about that? Huh?
That's good. That's good to hear.
Okay. These messages are so important. And I just want to go on to the 3 other elements that I want to include in these under the health messages. The one, let's refer to our learned brother in Nottingham, Brother Kwame. He reminded us, of course, that we must also take care of our spiritual health, you know, giving time and reflection to promote our spiritual health, to defend ourselves from all those negative vibes, negative impulses we send from other people, and center ourselves on that which gives us pride, encouragement, courage. Yeah. And we raise our energy levels. Yeah. That's what he means by spiritual health. Yeah. And of course, remembering our religious, indeed, traditional figures. Okay. Well, I'm going to let Brother Kwame come back on that, you know. I'm going to invite him to call in. In fact, we're going to do a program around him eventually. Don't you worry. I do like the verbal jousting. Anyway, I'm now going to go on to mental health, okay? As we've had with previous contributors to the show, mental health is a big issue in our community. Because of course, we live in an environment of constant conflict and contradictions, yeah? And many of us find it difficult. We all go through it at some point in our lives where we feel mentally drained, yeah? We feel down, yeah? In those times, I'd say to you all, please, please seek professional help. Do not suffer in silence. You are never alone. If you don't want to seek professional help, go to that person who you most trust, who you feel most intimate with, able to talk about these matters. And if you don't have someone like that, please contact me and I will find someone who I can trust with you. But it's essential that we take care of our mental health. And lastly, and she reminded me earlier this week, but you recall that my daughter came on, who's a sexual health specialist nurse, okay? And of course, she reminded us, equally, with all these other health messages that we give out, our sexual health is essential. Mm-hmm. She reminded us that if you meet a partner for the very first time, you both are being responsible adults, should go to a sexual health clinic to ensure that you both are clear. Lady Chelsea, that's eminently sensible, isn't it? Eminently sensible.
Yeah.
She reminded us that there's a whole range of health, sexual health conditions, or STI, sexually transmitted infections, okay? Whole range of them, which are all treatable. Even AIDS, HIV, AIDS, is treatable these days. And what she reminded us, particularly we live in Britain, that there are many opportunities to find resolutions. So in most towns and cities across the country, there is a sexual health clinic, or indeed you can be referred to one by your GP, depending upon your locality, okay? You do not have to suffer in silence. If you've got any doubt about your sexual health, please, please seek professional advice. Again, do not suffer in silence. Okay, this is a message both men and women, young and old. I know the old folks will say that they're beyond that sort of thing, but actually, many of the oldies, if I may say so, have never been to a sexual health clinic, Lady Chelsea. Exactly. You're laughing. You are laughing. But actually, that is true. Never been to a sexual health clinic. So they've got no idea of their sexual health.
Yeah, I think there was an article saying it's quite high. I don't know what area, but with older people, STIs were quite high at some point. So it's better to know.
It is quite astonishing. Yeah, quite astonishing.
Scared of sex.
So we want to encourage those of you who've not been to a sexual health clinic before, go visit just to make sure. Yeah, because the vast majority of sexually transmitted infections are treatable. This is not a taboo subject. It is an important subject for our holistic health messages. Okay, really important, because I'm surprised, astonished, the number of people who have never been to a sexual health clinic. I've got no idea of their current status. I'm not going to call you irresponsible, but I am going to say to you, you are being somewhat, risky. Huh? Risky.
Yeah, risky. It's fine.
Okay. I think those messages are clear enough. I want to continue. I'm sure you agree, Rachel. We need to keep giving out these health messages, and we hope that other parties on Galaxy and other radio stations across the country, before they begin their program in full, that they will give out these simple health messages. Because in our community, Black or African communities, the instances of obesity, heart disease, diabetes, hypertension are way above the average. And that's because we're not paying sufficient attention to our health. Similarly, for mental health, above the average, we've got to pay attention to these subjects. These are not taboo subjects. Praise be. Lady Chelsea, I'm going to hand over to you on your wonderful book that you're going to give light to, Young Malachi. Huh? Go ahead.
Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, so this is the competition we've been, I think, doing for almost a year now. And yes, this is in support of young Malachi, who came on, I think, last March or February, with his mum to shed light on homeschooling and, you know, the importance of having a Black education, like history-wise and etc. And how she was doing and everything. And what we've been doing is promoting the book that he wrote when he was 14. I'm not sure how old he is now. Which is called Tutankhamun, The Tale of the Adventurous Boy King, which is, I think, a story on his take on Tutankhamun. So we have two questions that were for under 16s. We have one question that is for 10 and under, and another question that is 11 to 16-year-olds. So I don't know if I have the new number with me at a second. Read it. Okay, I think it's that. Okay. So I'll read out the number for you and do the questions. So the number to call in to answer the questions is 0208 133 5616.
And can I just add, if I may, later, can I just add, that if you are viewing our show via YouTube and or Facebook, or indeed Mixcloud, which has now been added, you should see on the screen the telephone number 0203 188 5616. And of course, if you are viewing us via YouTube or Facebook, please give us a like. I think it's the finger sign, isn't it, Lady Chose, that way? Yeah. Give us a like. There you are. Just so we know that you're responding. And if you're not subscribed, there's no cost to you. We don't send you. There's no information sent to you other than notification of the subject matter of the next forthcoming show. So subscribe and press the like sign. We always like the like sign. Okay.
Yeah. That's fine. So I'll do the questions now. Just two questions. The first question is going to be for under 10s, I believe. So yeah.
Okay.
Question 10. At what age did Tutankhamun pass away?
So that's at what age did Tutankhamun pass away?
Okay. Each time I hear these questions, I say, whoa, okay.
Yeah, a little
But it does though, from mums and dads, grandmums, granddads, and carers. Your responsibility is to encourage that your child, your sons and daughters, your nieces and nephews, or cousins, to research. Because what Lady Chelsea hadn't mentioned is the prize. But go away. I'll let her do that in a moment. Okay? But encourage them to research. And this research isn't about the kings and queens of Britain or France or Germany. Isn't about the presidents of the United States of America. Okay? It's our history. Our history. Over to you, Lady Chelsea.
Okay. Yeah. Just a reminder, okay, the prize is £25 and a signed copy of Malachi's book. So that's the prize. So the second question for 11 to 16-year-olds.
Question 9. Who or what did the people of Kemet worship during the time of Tutankhamun?
So that's who or what did the people of Kemet worship at the time of Tutankhamun? And that is the questions for this week.
So that's another interesting question. And even though I've heard them on a number of occasions, I can understand mums and dads out there, grandfathers, grandmothers, cousins, and so on. Slight hesitation. It is a reflection, of course, of the community. Okay. It is a reflection, of course, of our experience. Of course, it's a reflection that we must do better. If we're to empower the next generation, then the next generation must have a knowledge of our history. Yeah. There's a wonderful saying that a tree without roots, it's easily knocked over when it's exposed to adverse weather. But it's the roots that keep it centered, keeps it in the ground. It can withstand all the attacks from it. Really, really is important. Really, really is important. So we want to encourage mums and dads, grandmothers, grandfathers, uncles and aunties, to encourage your siblings, your children. Want you to encourage them to do the research and call in. I know it's early, but this is such an important exercise. And at the end of this exercise, the young man, the young girl will receive £25 plus a signed copy of Madakai's book. I think that's a reasonable exchange, isn't it, Lady Chelsea?
Yeah, I believe so.
I believe so as well. So whilst they are considering responding, and I'll give out the number one more time. So it's 0208 133 5616. Okay. And if you're overseas, you simply take the 0 off at the beginning and it's +44. Okay. If you're overseas, you take the 0 off at the beginning and it's +44, and you begin with 208 133 5616. Okay. I know we have overseas listeners. But we are very determined to stick with these questions because we know eventually there will be a breakthrough. There will be a breakthrough. So, Lady Chelsea, you're a young woman.
Yeah.
Okay. And I want to affirm that in my public life experience, women have been most critical. Okay. The majority of organizations that I've been involved with have all had majority women. Majority women. Women have always been the backbone of our all. Let's see if this is a call. Good morning. Can you hear us okay?
Hi.
Good morning.
Can you hear me? Hi,
Okay.
Lady Chelsea still isn't loud enough.
Oh, still not loud enough. Okay.
She's about 25% less loud than you.
Okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn my volume down in that case. We appreciate the call. Thank you for that. I'm still trying to get sound right. Thank you very much. There you are, Lady Chelsea. There you are, young man, looking out for you there, huh? What? Okay, hopefully this is...
Thanks.
That's your natural charisma. There you are. Hopefully that should be better. I'm just adjusting the system for you. We might have to figure out another way of you communicating with our main board here. Don't worry, we'll sort that out as well. Now then, as I was saying, so women remain the foundations of our organization. Okay. First of all, Lady Chelsea, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It's not something I've thought about.
So go ahead, yeah.
I don't know. What do you mean specific roles, or what do you mean when
specific roles? Well, I suppose what I'm really asking you is that women tend to be possibly more social than men and want to be part of organisation and be a part of the organisation's infrastructure, so it remains solid, you know. And without women's support, most of the faith communities could not survive. Most certainly in Christian churches, that is most certainly the case. Yeah, most certainly is the case. I go to many churches and invariably they are dominated by women.
Okay.
Has that been your experience, I wonder?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I'm wondered why. And this is a question, you know, and I put out to those women who are listening, you may wish to call in and tell us why you think that women are invariably the majority members of most of our organisations. Okay. And I'd be interested to hear what the theory is. And we might put this question to our guest who we'll have on. So the number to call. In fact, Lady Chelsea, if you could give out the number, I can do a further sound check on your volume.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So the number to call in is 0208 133 5616. Yes, that's the number to call in. I don't really know the answer. Maybe it's kind of, I don't know, just in us to be, I don't know, part of the nurture side and just, I don't know, keeping a family-like thing together. Maybe, I don't know.
Interesting.
Structure. I think that's kind of what we do. I don't know how men are. Men are kind of, I don't know, about themselves. The majority of the time, not that they don't care about society, but I think as a general statement, it's more women who have to care. Men just do what they want.
Oh, I'm not sure that's the case myself, but I hear you though.
It is, but in the nicest way, it's also can be a benefit for them in providing and protecting and stuff. But it is something that they're focused on themselves, and women have to be focused on everything else.
I'm not going to comment. But I, you know, that's an experience, you know, and it's not a common experience what you're describing, you know. So I'm not going to comment. I hear you. I hear you. And it's very similar to when we record history. Often we record the achievements of men and not give sufficient recognition to the achievement of women on the past.
Yeah.
And why the elder who will be joining us shortly is an example of someone who produced a wonderful book, a book called Women in the Garvey Movement. And it's authored by a wonderful elder Nzingha Assata. Someone asked me the other day, there's certain elderly people who I refer to as elders and others who I do not. Okay. And I responded to that person thus. I said, an elder is someone who gives unreservedly their knowledge, whatever they have, to help the coming generation. So this is someone who gives. Could be man or woman, yeah? But they're always giving what they have, and that could be knowledge, yeah? Their wisdom, and of course their practical help. An elder is someone who has possibly children and other immediate family members, but actually sees the community as their family and identifies with all the contrary and conflicting personalities in the community, but is able to rise above them and see them for who they really are, not what the projections they project to them. So an elder is someone who's able to see you in your essence and provide advice. An elder is someone who by their very demeanor, how they speak, their tone, their intonation, their aura that you would sense around them. When they speak, you pause. When they speak, you listen. And when they speak, and this has been true of our tradition, we respond. And we respond not because we see them as being competition, but because they're elders, respected members of the community who give. When I said all that, the young man said, oh yes. And so he paused, said, so there's a certain elderly person who he knew, so that's why you don't call that person elder. I said, well, that person has got some growing up to do, regardless of the fact that if a woman is, this woman's in her 80s, you know? It's because there's a feature of an elder, emotionally, that person is extremely mature, wise, emotionally mature. Yeah. Such people provide a calming aura at all times. Okay. And when they speak, you listen and you act, because their words are words of wisdom and are designed to support and advance the forthcoming generation. Our guest today, Nzingha Assata, most certainly for me, is an elder. Okay. I had great pleasure looking up and studying her profile, you know, and there's a great deal we want to say to her today. A great deal, a really a great deal. So she will be joining us shortly, but before she joins us, what I want to do, I want to play a short YouTube video, which will, of an interview she did with, I believe, her niece in Jamaica, not too long ago. But it will provide a useful introduction. Hopefully, while this is on, she will join us. Okay. Now let's see if I can get the technology to work for us today, Lady Chelsea. Would that be nice?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, let's see if I can get this to work. But it will be really very, very revealing. Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm going to play it now. Here we go.
I've always been a person who's interested in women's education, and particularly women's political education, because change will not come about if we're not active. And so when I started to read about the women, I thought, well, why is it that we've heard so little about these women and their contribution? You have women like Madame Demina, who was an international organizer. And, you know, at one time she actually rallied people across Panama to burn the city down if they wouldn't allow one of the ships of the Black Star Line to land. And she succeeded in getting the government of Panama to back off and to allow the Garvey delegation to land. Lillian Galloway and Mary Lawrence, food chemist, and one was a printer of the Negro World newspaper. These are women who are phenomenal women, and I wanted to know, why have we not heard anything about them? I mean, we're now in the 21st century, and they were writing early, working early in the last century. So I just believe that we have a responsibility, not just women, because I believe that the black man and women must move forward in balance and in equal rights and justice. And so I believe that we need to bring to light the work that these women did, and it will be an inspiration to our young women.
You know what? Sometimes we're a little bit lazy. We're a little bit lazy because we take what is given to us on a platter when we're in school, and we will, frankly, we will not hear about this.
That's right.
In our school system sometimes. Right. What did you do in terms of research? How long did this take you?
Oh, it took quite a time, because obviously I didn't do it consistently. It's been coming together for over 10 years. I began by doing a talk on women in the Garvey movement, and that sparked my interest. And then a good friend of mine got some essays of Mrs. Garvey from the British Library, and so that further enthused me, and I decided, 2 years ago, I decided that this is it now, I'm going to do this. And so I really began to put effort into it, and hence we now have the book.
All right, you have a poem in there that you'd like to read for us, if you could go ahead.
The poem is called The Incomparable Black Woman. Is there any other race of people on this planet who can expect such leadership, dedication and strength from their women? Black people have much to thank black women for. Black women, the strong, confident ones, the quiet, unassuming ones, the women who are always there for the race, the women who are always there, working hard, giving their all, being mother and sometimes father, being everything to our community. The black woman, mother of creation, strong, oh so strong black woman. What is so very sad is that many black men fear her strength, fear her strong spirit, and fail to love, honor, and protect her. The black woman, mother, daughter, wife, sister, aunt, grandmother. Black woman, mother of creation. Black woman, the original guardian angel.
Wow, isn't that something? Yeah? Isn't that something? Huh? Let me put my camera back. Isn't that something? Huh? Oh, and by the wonders of modern technology, Lady Chelsea, we have Elder Nzingha Assata. Welcome to you.
Good morning.
Greetings. Nice to see you.
Oh,
Me too.
you know, I actually know how old you are, you know, but you look younger than me.
Oh, I doubt that.
I'm assured.
Thank you for the compliment.
I am assured. And I've always said this to women who are Pan-Africanists, who are involved in giving to the community. It does something to you. It does something to your aura. Yeah, it definitely makes you far more beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
I am honored. Okay. Gosh, my research on your life's work, my elder, was extensive.
Oh wow!
And I can see we will run out of time. Okay, but I wanted first of all to start off with the interview. That interview, I believe that interview was your relative. Is that right?
Oh no, that was a presenter on CVM TV in Jamaica.
Gotcha.
That was just shortly after the book was launched, and I was in Jamaica to take stocks to Sangster's bookstore in Kingston, and called them and asked if they would present the book to the public, and she was very willing.
Oh wow, wonderful! I would be willing as well. We're looking forward to your next book, but we want to give light to the women in the Garvey movement. Okay, and we've given a particular focus on that book, and I believe it is still available for purchase.
It is at the Black Cultural Archives in Brixton. There's the book and the poster, because I've subsequently compiled just a small poster, because if you notice, people, there are a lot of posters about all sorts of things, but very rare is there a poster that highlights the contribution that women have made. And as we all know from our own history, there are a vast array of women from the continent and from all over the diaspora who have made magnificent contributions to our legacy.
And I'll just say before I hand over to Lady Chelsea, that if you've had the opportunity to go to the landing page of the Motivator show on YouTube, you will see I've got two figures. One of Nzingha. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that influence. Mm-hmm. And the other one, of course, of Marcus Garvey. So to me, this is apt that I'm speaking to you today in our month of women, the start of the year with a focus on the achievements of our magnificent women. I want to say thank you. Just say thank you to you. Okay. Let me hand over to Lady Chelsea. Lady Chelsea.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for
Good
coming.
morning.
I just wanted to ask you why you chose to become a community activist. Like, what happened? Did something spark it, or did your parents, I don't know, guide you into that role, or what happened?
Okay, well, thank you for that question. To be honest, at the time, I didn't even know what an activist was. I woke up one morning and I was telling somebody recently, and in my head was this idea that, you know, you've been celebrating the wrong people. You watched them murder they call them the Indians in America. I said, you know, you were watching all those cowboy films as they chased them down and murdered them to steal their land. And so you were on the wrong side. I don't know why that was in my head anyway, that sparked my beginning to critique, well, what's going on in the world? Because my father was a pastor, so we grew up in a very church orientated, but I was also influenced by the Black Power movement, because at my age, I was in school when Malcolm X, Kwame Ture, and so many. The Black Panther movement was a massive influence on us. Everybody donned their dashiki and had their afro, and you know.
I had my
Indeed. It was such an inspiration when John Carlos and Tommy Smith did the Black Power salute at the Olympics.
Yep.
And yet still we knew nothing. Well, I certainly didn't until much later, of the suffering that they experienced for that act. And so that sparked me. And then in the 1980s, I became a member of the Association of Black Social Workers and Allied Professionals. And that was where I really got an in-depth knowledge of how racism was impacting our people in this country. We were focusing on Black children being taken into care and fostered all over the country and coming back to certainly London, knowing nothing about themselves, their legacy, even their own families that they'd been taken from. Some were bleaching their skin, trying to use bleach to rub off the blackness. And so the focus then was to demand change for our people, and also change in social services policy and government policy, and recruit Black families to foster and adopt Black children. And I have a document in the Black Cultural Archives, which we submitted to the House of Commons Social Services Committee in 1983, and it's called Document to Social Services Committee regarding Black children in care. It highlighted the impact of racism and you know, basically said, we're not going to tolerate this. We're professional people. We had social workers, probation officers. I'm a health visitor by profession, and also nurses, anyone that was connected to the caring field, and especially children were involved. And that made a massive impact. In fact, in Brixton, we have a centre now called the Caribou Centre. At the time, it was the ABENG. And right next to that was created the New Black Families Unit, which recruited Black foster parents and adoptees, and also ensured that we had race awareness training for staff and the community. Different playing material, Black dolls, books, etc., hair and skin care, so that our children's hair and diet and skin was managed appropriately. So all of those things contributed to my awakening. And shortly after that, I myself and some other sisters formed the Harriet Tubman Sisters Women's Group in Balham. And we used to do weekly women's education program there.
I have to say, my order, that my research didn't bring up that bit of useful information. I didn't realize you were part of that organization.
Oh, definitely. In fact, I have some copies of well, photocopied copies of the book here in my house, if anyone would like a spare copy. But the original copy is in my lodgement at the Black Cultural Archives in Brixton.
Very, very good. Right, I need to visit that one.
Indeed, and in fact, we all should be visiting it and become members so that we can impact on the work that it delivers in the community.
Before I go to Lady Chelsea, how can one become a member of the Black Cultural Archives?
If you go online and look them up, it has all of the information about its origin and how you can join it, what you can contribute. I mean, I've been a volunteer there for some time. I'm still a volunteer there, although I'm now not a member of the Friends Committee any longer. That's just through choice. So the Friends Committee recruits other people in the community to become paid up members, and we make an annual donation towards the work, but also do fundraising for the community. Obviously, it's ours, and we need to make sure it stays there, because often our facilities do not get the amount of resources that they need to really function well. People are working overtime. They're always starved of cash. So that's a way that we can all contribute to ensuring that remains in our possession.
In other words, it remains a legacy for the forthcoming generation.
And just to add to that, if we look at its history, it was 40 years old last year. And Len Garrison, and I want to mention Len Garrison, Queen Mother Moore was the inspiration who told us that we must have somewhere to lodge our history. But we have people like Makeda Coston and others who contributed to building that. So when people put themselves out, because this is voluntary work, this is normally paid work on our behalf, in my opinion, we have a duty to contribute to that and to ensure that it lives on for the next generations to come.
My Elder, I will henceforth include references to the Black Cultural Archives and how those who I distribute our usual media to can get involved and become members.
Excellent. I think every child should go there because they do work with schools. You just phone up, and if you're a teacher, you can book a session. And Aisha, the coordinator for the children's section, will be very happy to see you.
Thank you. That's one outcome so far from this program. So let's go over to Lady Chelsea. Lady Chelsea, you've got a question.
So I believe you've authored 3 books.
That's right.
I just wanted to, so that's including the Women in Garvey movement. I just wanted to know if you could give a brief description or something of the books that you've written, just so we know what you've done.
Will do. The first one, which I'm going to hold up, I hope people can see it. It's called What's in My Kitchen?
Oh, I like that.
And in fact, it is now out of print, but it was produced in the 90s by the Camberwell Health Authority. Myself, I was the neighbourhood manager for the health centre at Railton Road at that time. And our dietitian, Sarah Jean Marie, of St. Lucia origin, and Pat Gillard, the dietitian, the diabetic liaison worker, we got together because a lot of our people were non-compliant about their diet. They wanted to eat what we eat, yam, sweet potato, blah, blah. And so the book aimed to give the management of portion sizes so that they could regularly include the food in their diet. So that was a health book, really, helping our people. And then the second book,
forgive me, my Elder, before you go. So that's an interesting book. Can you show it again for us?
I can indeed.
Right. So maybe we should try to get that republished.
It's a possibility. The only thing is it would need a lot of amending, because what was done in the 90s in terms of diabetic management and nutrition would be very different now, because we now have a lot of naturopathic remedies around diabetes that would need to be included. And
what's that? Sorry, what's?
The naturopath is using natural health remedies. Rather than traditional medicines from the doctor, indeed. Yeah, because a lot of those medicines, as we know, people don't want to be taking medicines forever, which obviously, if you've got a condition, you need to follow the treatment. But people are people. So the more you can make things accessible to them, something that they will comply with, then obviously the more success you're going to have. So moving on to my next book, which is In Praise of Our Ancestors. That's this little one here.
Oh, right, yes.
And that also, I was telling Brother Martin when we spoke.
The motivator.
The motivator. But I'm actually working on that to update it because that was 1997. And in fact, it was launched at an organization that myself and some other Pan-Africanists founded, the Universal African Peoples Development Association, which was aimed at reinvigorating Garveyism. And so we did re-education programs at the Albrighton Community Centre in Dulwich every Sunday. And we also organised in 1996 a conference in praise of African women that was well attended in Balham. And that was financed by the community. We wrote a letter to the community asking for small donations for the hall, food, etc. And people were very, very responsive. And so we have a DVD of that piece of work. And that really, what we also did was to have elders from the community come to talk about their experience of having arrived in England and how they were impacted by that. We had 3 elders do that. And in fact, myself and some others repeated that recently in October last year, where we celebrated 3 elder sister activists, Gerlin Bean, Auntie Lindiwe from South Africa, and a sister called Dahlia Sterling, who lives in Croydon. So yeah.
Thank you. And that particular book, it's not available right now.
Not at this time, but I'll tell you when it's reproduced and ready to go again.
We'll get you back here, my elder. We'll get you back here. We definitely want to give promotion to you. And the last book, of course, Women in the Garvey Movement. Just tell us a little bit about this book. And we listened to the brief interview, but give us a bit of background to it and why. What was your motivation?
Well, I'll be honest with you, in 1987, I was the treasurer and fundraising coordinator for the Marcus Garvey Centenary Committee in this country. We had people like Pepper Kai, Brother Beanie, and, all of the continued Pan-Africanists today. And I actually hadn't a clue at that time that there were women in the Garvey movement at all. Wow. I was an activist at that time for about 3-4 years. So anyway, to put a long story short, I was asked to do the talk that I mentioned at the interview about the women. I'm thinking, where would you find this? Because I didn't know. Anyway, as I said, we began to do research. The British Museum Library has quite a lot of documentation, and there's more and more information now online. And I secured a number of essays by Amy Jakes Garvey, and also learned a lot about the women's page of the Negro World newspaper, which she and other women produced, where they encouraged women to contribute to the development of Pan-African work for our people, not just for women, for our people as a family, women, men, children, etc. A number of essays looks at how children are reared and how we can actually equip them to fit into society and to make a valid contribution, etc. So having begun to, if you like, bring together all of that information, there came a point where I thought, well, it'd be good if people knew more about these women. And also when I was in Jamaica because I also went to Jamaica that year for the conference that they held at the University of the West Indies, I learnt more about other women certainly a lot of the women from the Caribbean who had been members of the Garvey movement. And so putting all of that together inspired me to create something that would be a legacy to the work of the women, because even though we have so many scholars that have written about Garvey, if you go through their books, you'll be very lucky if you find a paragraph about the work of, and yet there was over 3 million women across the world as members of the Garvey movement, because the organization is said to have had a membership of over 6,000 and 1,000 branches all over the world.
Yeah, and I am assured that the majority of those members were women.
We know that for a fact, in fact, because Marcus Garvey Jr. and his brother Julius Garvey, in the book that was reproduced in 2014, Garvey and Garveyism, which is the book written by their mother about her life and the legacy of Garvey, they say that at least 60% of the organization were women. And that women were the backbone of the organisation.
Can I, before I go to Lady Chelsea, just when I asked this question of Lady Chelsea, I've been very unkind. I asked the question of Lady Chelsea, or indeed Elder Nzingha, why do you think the majority of our organisations are dominated by women? Why do you think?
I'll let Lady Chelsea say what.
No, she gave an answer earlier.
Oh,
I'm interested in your response to that question.
Okay.
But I've always remained perplexed, but I've been an activist like myself, like yourself, and I've always been perplexed why I'm always surrounded by women. The majority of those in my phone are women, who are the activists or the backbone of organisations.
All organisations, the majority are women. I think the change is going to come from teaching men that we are equal partners and that we all have a role to play, and men are not just, and in fact, to be fair, I think the way society has evolved has created that. And it's wrong, because women want change. Women will act to bring change, especially where it involves their family and particularly their children. Most mothers will do almost anything to ensure something different for their children. And so, in my early days, I was the chair for the Parent Teachers Association, probably one of the only Black people in that school to ever come up to a position to bring change. Throughout the whole of my children's school life, I was the only person on the Parent Teachers Association committee. And these are things that I personally believe we need to change. We need to be making decisions where it counts, that impacts our people. So yes, I think women want change and they're prepared to bring it into being and not just talk about bringing it into being.
That's it. The Motivator Show, where we translate our words into action. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I love working with women, I have to say. Gosh, my elder, it's such a pleasure. Let me hand over back to Lady Chelsea. Lady Chelsea. Yes.
I just want to know, could you highlight 3 women that most influence your consciousness? As you said, I don't know many women in history, and that's something I'll have to teach myself. So for you who's researched, who would you say?
And forgive me, my elder, before you respond to that question, I did want to say that Lady Chelsea was a listener to the show, and she asked if she could participate. And therefore, she's inquisitive, she wants to understand, want to learn. And there are tens of thousands of young women just like Lady Chelsea who are inquisitive, want to learn, want to understand, and as you say, want change. That's why she has my undivided and complete support. Whatever.
Good for you, and that's how we grow, by wanting to know, and not just wanting to know and sit there complaining, but actively make a contribution and find out how we can do that. And I'll just refer back quickly to the Black Cultural Archives. Now, when it first opened in July, I used to attend all sorts of different functions. When it was at Cold Harbour Lane and Atlantic Road, I used to attend. And when it opened at its current site in July 2015, I was sent a booklet to say that it was going to be opening, and it listed all the tiers of membership. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to sign up and become a member. Nobody didn't have to come and ask me. And I sent off my £100, and I was invited to the launch, which was great. But so I'm just saying that to say that we don't have to wait for somebody to come and tell us to come.
You tell them, my elder. You tell them. Yeah. Oh.
Yes, so coming back to who have influenced me, I want to mention, I'm not going to mention the actual women in the book, although one of them I will mention, which is Queen Mother Mariam Samad. The world probably doesn't know much about her, but she was actually born in the Garvey movement. Her parents were Guyanese and were lieutenants in the Garvey movement. So her whole life has been one of promoting Garveyism. I met her again in Jamaica at the Garvey conference, and she passed away 2 years ago on the same day as Robert Mugabe. But her whole life had been one of promoting Garveyism. She was an American, married a Jamaican, and they relocated to Jamaica. And she had a Garvey museum in her house where she would teach young people about Garvey and his legacy. And sorry, you look as if
I can ask you, can you spell her name?
Yes. MariamMeSamad.
Got it. Thank you very much.
And then I would say Dr. Marimba Arni, the author of Urugu and Let the Circle Be Unbroken, are also great influences. I met her at the Education of the Black Child Conference in Manchester in the 90s. She actually came because our great warrior, Amos Wilson, had passed away, and so she replaced him. But she's an excellent scholar, very interested in us as a people coming together and recognizing that we're part of a circle and we have a part to play in, keeping our legacy alive. Then I'm going to mention Gerlin Bit. I mean, I have a massive list here of people, because I think it's important to recognize people who are also alive today influencing us. If you like, the past, it's not gone. We can draw on it, but there are so many people right here who motivate us, inspire us, and the sisters in the Pan-African Congress movement, so many of them, Sister Miami, Sister Asha, they have been working on our community's behalf for years, voluntary, organizing Africa Liberation Day, etc. So just loads and loads of women, Gerlin in particular, formed herself, Olive, Beverly Bryan, and a number of others, even Auntie Lindiwe, formed the Black women's movement in Stockwell in the 1970s, and also created a group called OWAD, the Organization of African and Asian Women. And they did a lot of activism, campaigning for better conditions at work and in other places for women. So, a whole range of women from diverse political backgrounds. Yes.
Fascinating. And I was going to ask you to name others, but you've done it extremely well. And of course, you've identified them by their names, but I know that the vast majority of people will not know them. Okay. And I'm wondering,
but this is interesting. They can now go and search.
I know you have a website. Yes, exactly. Which is why the spelling. And it'd be interesting because you haven't given to your website. You have a website. Okay.
It's not really functioning because let me tell you the truth of the matter. I am totally useless with the computer, especially the more modern technology. And I'm not going to pretend. I'm okay doing things like my emails and letters and so on, but my daughters used to help me with it and update it, but she's actually not that well now, and she also has a disabled daughter. So it's kind of been left to just be as it was the last time we looked at it.
Okay, but my elder, please, it is regardless of what you've just said, it is jam-packed full. It's information rich.
Oh, brilliant. I'm surprised you were able to find it.
I've told you, it was such a pleasure, such a stimulating experience to review your life works, I have to tell you. So I'm going to give out the website address. And another outcome from this show is that I'm going to help you to further develop your website, because this is part of your legacy, my elder. So that's another outcome, second outcome. So this is the website address. And if you put it in a search engine, it might be simpler for most people. But it's Nzingha, Nzingha, Assata, ASSATA.wordpress, as it sounds, wordpress.com. I say again, Nzingha Assata, that's one word, there are no spaces, .wordpress.com. You put that in the search engine, you find this wonderful elders website. And another outcome from this show, because as you know, my elder, I like outcomes and follow-up action that you can see, you can monitor, and you can be satisfied it's been meaningful. I will help you with others to develop your website. You have so much knowledge to share, so much wisdom to share. It would be my honor to help you with your website.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that offer. And I just want to mention there is a letter there, and that comes back into activism because I have, at least I would say, well over 200 letters of activism in my deposit at the Black Cultural Archives. And I'm currently putting together some of them in a small booklet. But there's one on that site that was a great impact in Jamaica when I went home to live there in '98. And I wrote to the Minister of National Security, KD Knight, because jurors were being paid something like 5 pence to attend court. And that was their fare, $5 at the time. You couldn't even buy you a sweet. So I was incensed by this the night on the news because the jurors were complaining. And I wrote immediately and sent a copy to him, to the Gleaner and the Observer. And 2 weeks later, he wrote me back personally to say that he hoped I had noticed, and I had noticed because it had been on the news, that the fee had been increased to $500.
Oh, my gosh.
Indeed. And he then let me know in no uncertain terms that citizens were very happy to serve their country and didn't usually need remuneration.
Oh.
But my point was that not everyone has the resources to spare to pay their fares and also to get a little refreshment because you could be there all day. And so that was a very great outcome. Yes.
Thank you. You may have anticipated Lady Chelsea's next question. Lady Chelsea.
Oh, okay.
Can you tell us the countries you've travelled? Anything about them? What you've learned, the difference with Black history and stuff? Just anything.
Okay, yeah, 3 places I'm going to mention. And the first one is actually Panama. And the reason Panama, I was in Jamaica because I actually came here when I was just over 8.
Ladies, we've got a caller which is called in. And
okay.
I've forgotten to open the line formally, but never mind. I hope you don't mind, my elder, to take a question.
Not at all. Not at all.
Caller with number ending 5817. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Greetings, Elder Nzingha.
Oh, greetings, Sister Mel. How are you doing?
Good morning, Sister Mel. It's been a long time. You have a question?
Right?
You have a question?
Yes, for Elder Nzingha, in terms of, I'm just going to go straight to the point. In terms of busy working moms today, and I'm specifically talking about busy working moms because you were a busy working mom during your activism.
Mm-hmm.
What is your advice in terms of being able to juggle activism, teaching your children, especially to leave that legacy behind, and doing the work, in the community, in terms of your pace, what you give over to your family and to your community, and to keep it going so that you can have the longevity that you've had, throughout your career? Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very good question. I would say that the important thing is to have a balance, and also to be critical of oneself. It's easy to just absorb everything that people put at you. Can you be this? Can you be that? You can't be all things to all people. And for me, priority, I would say, should be the children. Because if you do a good job with them, then you've already left a legacy by what they then become and how they contribute in life. So first thing, don't take on more than you humanely can manage. And, make a note. I always make notes. And if you think it's too much, then it's too much, and follow your own judgment. Don't just go with what people expect from you. Because I'll be honest with you, people will put it on you. They're really not concerned that you've already got children to manage, a house to manage, work to manage, maybe elders and relatives that you're assisting with, etc. So balance and not taking on more than you can manage, and priority to family life. Hope that's helpful.
Sister Mel? Yes.
I can't hear anything, but I didn't want to disturb
what
was being said. I'll watch it back on playback.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't hear anything Elder Nzingha is saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right. Okay. Another.
I don't know if she's on Zoom because her number isn't popped up for me, so I don't know if it's on a different system.
I'll watch back the answer on playback. So,
okay.
But I'm sure whatever Elder Nzingha says inspire others, and it also inspired me. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Mel, for the call. Thank you very much.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Well, that's interesting. Yes, my elder, you're responding to our question.
Yes, so we were talking about the countries. Yes, Panama. I just had an opportunity to visit Panama whilst I was in Jamaica. Somebody advertised it in the library that there was a trip to Panama. Now, I knew very little about Panama at the time, but when I got there, it was amazing to see the Panama Canal and how it operated, and then to learn the legacy of the number of Africans from the Caribbean, Jamaica, Barbados, and other parts who had gone there to work and had lost their lives. Because if people look it up online, the Panama Canal, the building of it, destroyed masses and masses of people from all over the world who had gone to help build it. Now, in that area, ships would take weeks to pass through the canal and often clashed together and caused accidents. So the building of the canal ensured that there's like a bridge that rises when the ships approach it, so that one will wait and the other will come through. Okay. It's just an amazing piece of human creation. So, and then the other thing that inspired me about Panama, they have a museum dedicated to the African Antilles, which is to honor all of the African people from the Caribbean who had come to help build that. So that was a lesson for me, but it was also an amazing feat to see them having contributed to this piece of work that made life so much easier for humanity. Ghana is my next one. My first visit to Ghana was in '97, and I was there for 4 weeks. Brilliant. It just reminded me of Jamaica. It was just obviously many, 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 many times bigger than Jamaica. And and going to the market in Kumasi and seeing the women, they were cooking this thing called dukunu. It's like a steamed pudding. Now, and it also brought up for me the retentions that we have in parts of the Caribbean, because in Jamaica, we have that same pudding cooked in a banana leaf called dukunu. And we also call it blue drawers in Jamaica. So it was interesting because it made me it cemented that fact that this is who we were as a people, and that we still got some of those traditions.
Yeah, definitely.
And the other thing was, in the zoo, they had a bird called the patu, which we also have in Jamaica. And going, I mean, obviously it was very disturbing going to Elmina Castle and Cape Coast Castle, but you were able to see the dreadful conditions, in fact, abhorrent conditions that African people were held in. And, you know, it made you wonder what kind of people would think of doing a thing like that to another set of human beings. You know, the dungeons were, you couldn't stand up in a dungeon, just horrid. And then there was the door of no return, which subsequently, I have to say, in I can't remember if it was 1998 or early 2000, but PJ Patterson, when he was the Prime Minister of Jamaica, in cooperation with Rawlings of Ghana, with some activists, Professor Small and Minnie Phillips, organized for the bones of ancestors from St. Mary in Jamaica and somewhere in the US to be taken back through the door of no return as a symbol of our return. It's called the Roots Homecoming. I know the video is on YouTube. And I mean, I know a few of the people who were involved in that. And it was just, although it was symbolic, it really, for me, was a very spiritual revival of the fact that this is who we are, and we can go back. We don't have to stay anywhere, in the world. We can go anywhere we want, and especially to our legacy countries. And then Kenya.
Thinking, Mail, before you go off Ghana, because I know there are quite a number of Ghanaians listening, you see, we've had quite a number on the programme. You said that Ghana is looked as if it is Jamaica in so many ways, but on a much larger
scale.
What other features about Ghana would stand out for you? What other features?
Well, I loved Accra. I used to go there almost every day. I've got fabulous clothes, even to this day. Although I went in 1997, to this day, I've got my kente. I bought 12 yards of kente at Bongwe. Wow. And I actually saw the weavers weaving the kente and have pictures of that. I also went to a Grand Durbar and saw the statues of Queen Mother Ya Santewa and King Prempeh. I went to, I can't remember the name of the place, but they have this rope bridge. It's one of the big parks. And obviously I couldn't cross the rope bridge because I'm afraid of heights. And this is this rope swinging all over the place with all these stones and water down below you. So,
I hear you.
Got some fabulous pictures of my time in Ghana. I got fabulous material there. The Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum was a brilliant piece of history. I've got my pictures of my time at the Museum of the Stools, because in Ghana, there are a lot of different offerings of stools from wood carvings, absolutely amazing. And I also have the, I'm trying to remember the name of it. There is this stick, well, it's carved very well, that the person who leads you into the King's Museum has, it's a staff type thing, and they have a museum dedicated to that as well. So there's and then there's also the legacy of when the golden stool, this is, I don't know whether this is truth or fiction, the golden stool was handed down to a prophet. And as we know, the Ashanti Wars were caused because the British were demanding that the golden stool, which is a great symbolic relic for the Ashanti people, be handed over to them. And the people were not having it at all. And so I remember the saying that Ya Santewa told them, that when the men came back and said it, and she said, well, if you, the men, will not fight, then we, the women, will fight until every last one of us dies on the battlefield. And so they went off during the war. She was captured and exiled from Ghana. So there is such a lot of legacy and history that we have to pass on so that our children know this, because often the world depicts us as a people who, you know, we're just not fighting, we're not standing up for ourselves, blah, and it's totally untrue. Many, many people stood up, you know.
Are you next country, my elder?
So yes, then Kenya. Myself and Sister Winona went to Kenya, and we were in Nairobi. Lots of great museums, and we were able to meet up with some activists, Sister Ogutu and other activists, and who took us around to a lot of the very poorer parts of Kenya, which was great because obviously we were staying in some nice hotel up at the top of Nairobi. And, you know, it is very sad to see what they call the slums, masses of areas of people living in very, very sad conditions. And one of the great things for me that came out of that visit, we attended an event and were able to come back and raise funds to put a roof on a concrete structure that was being used as a school for children. Obviously, Nairobi, and we were able to go to Jomo Kenyatta Park and other places. To be honest, wherever you go in Africa or the Caribbean, the landscape is always beautiful. A lot of work, though, needs to be done to change the conditions for ordinary people on the ground. And I think that that's something that we all need to begin to work on with whomever we know that has influence in any of these parts of the world, because they really need to do better by their people, really, really, whether it's across the Caribbean or on the continent. That has to change.
It's an important observation. I think, again, you may have anticipated the next question that Lady Chelsea is going to put to you, which I suspect. Let's hope that your words of wisdom resonates with those of us out there. Lady Chelsea, yes, your question.
Yeah, I just want to know what advice you give to contemporary African activists to becoming an activist.
Well, first and foremost, it's...
I noticed you took a deep breath at that point.
Well, because it's a big question. And obviously, it's not going to be, what's the word? It's not going to impact everyone, because first and foremost, I'd say to critically analyze what it is that you want to become involved in, because you can get drawn into stuff that just disillusions you and makes you not want to continue on that path. So independent thought, look around, what is it that interests you? In fact, I actually personally believe that we all come to the planet with a divine mission.
Absolutely.
And that at a point in your life, you will see that your life has been taking you on journeys to bring you to what they call your mission, what it is that you want. And it's something that kind of takes you over. So for me, it was the education of women. So I did a lot of work around the education of women. We had a women's group in New Initiatives building in Willington Road in Stockwell called the Pan-African Women's Movement. And you know, as I said, worked also with Sister Affiong and Sister Njiri of Moyo Wataifa Grassroots Women's Organization in Brixton at 365 Brixton Road. And we formed the Pan-African Women's Forum along with many other women in Brixton area. And we used to do Saturdays, political education for women. And, you know, women were able to come contribute, bring in speakers from different parts of the country. So what I would say is be clear what it is you really want to achieve. Don't just go in it because that's where your friend is or because that's where people are telling you is the in thing. It's got to be what you want to do, because if it's not, you're not going to stay doing it. So that's one thing. Then look at what you can realistically contribute. You know, don't be telling people, oh yes, I can come 7 days a week when you know you can only come once. Yeah. It's better to do a couple of hours consistently than to, you know, say you're coming and then you're not coming, because whatever we're planning to develop, let's say it's a conference, it needs the input of everyone, because there's a whole range of work that needs to be done. If finances are needed, realistically, what can you contribute? And again, what is real? Don't go over the top to impress anyone. And that's another factor. Don't be trying to impress anyone. Impress yourself. Right. Look at the legacy that you want people to recognize you for, and look at how you can act. You may need to start something yourself. You know, you may think, oh, I can't see anybody doing the area that I'm interested in. And so bring other people on board, start it yourself, draw people together, and take that forward. So that's some of my suggestions. I'm sure there's
great advice.
Thank you.
And when the elders speak, we should all listen, pay close attention. And that's why the question was necessary. And if I may ask a follow-up with this, of course. There are, of course, my order, many organizations in the community. Okay. What I'm observing is some lack of cooperation, collaboration amongst these organizations. What advice would you give to those organizations who are either dominated by a single person or maybe just a family, but actually are not growing and are not really advancing because it's controlled by one or a family? What advice would you give to them?
Thank you. Well, the first one I did give to a group of people a couple of years ago before the lockdown, who wanted to resurrect, because we've had a number of collaboration movements. We've had the ACU.
Oh, yes, African Cooperative Unions?
Yeah. No, not the AC. It'll come back to me. This was a group that was formed to become an umbrella organization. The name escapes me at the moment, but we've also had INAP, the International African People's Parliament, and a number of groups have tried to work together. Now, for some reason, we always seem to fall apart, and I'm not sure what has caused that. So what my suggestion had been to the group that was coming up with the suggestion again is to do a study of what it is that is causing us to not be able to come together to consistently work on the things that we identify as being important, because all of them are very important areas, whether it's education programs, economic programs, or just providing certain services, all are important. And, you know, our people lose confidence when they see us keep starting, but it can't go anywhere. And then it reinforces this idea that there must be something wrong with us, which we know there isn't anything wrong with us. So individually, I think it's important for us to begin to critique what is it that is preventing this massive progress that we should be making. We should have some independent, strong businesses. You know, we should be able to provide some housing for our people. Even in terms of so many of our people now are developing dementia and other such illnesses. Where are the facilities that we have that we could say, oh, I'm going to refer your mother, father, whatever, to that place? So I do think that maybe we need a collective study of what are the issues, because people must have an idea of what is causing them not to be able to work with each other. For me, one of the main ones, I think, is ego and self-importance. I think if you this is where it comes back to mothers, because mothers want what's best for family and children. So they will often work with anybody. You know, even the school, when the school is being hateful to them and their child, they'll try. So that's something I think we need to look at, is this ego and this self-advancement and self-aggrandizement. It serves no purpose in the community.
Before you go on, I think that's a really crucial, certainly. And I know I'm being very unfair to you, but you are an elder, okay? How would you tackle this ego and self-grandizement, which is a persistent, pervasive disease in the community? How would you tackle it if you had the power to deal with that matter right now?
You see, the big problem, you can't tackle it until you have self-awareness of, and that's going to come from the people themselves. Because I'm sure you've had the experience, and I'm sure Lady Chelsea, although a young person, has also had the experience that there's some people you could talk until your mouth falls off, and they just will not see what is being said. So if, in my view, if we are serious about wanting to develop the things that we say we want, the schools, the whatever, business, etc., we have to begin with the self individually and look at how am I contributing to this problem? Is there something that I am doing that causes people not to be able to work with me? So sometimes it can just be a sense of one's own self-importance, and it's too big. You know, if you say you're doing things, do you really deliver them? You know, if you can't deliver what you're talking about, why are you talking about it? For me, this constant talking, it's such a waste of good energy, which could be put towards looking at how we actually deliver what we know. When I join something, it's because I want to do some of the work, and I always take on my share of the work. I'm not expecting anybody to do any more than me or any less than me. But if I'm doing something, I'm delivering 100%, or I'm not going to stay there. Absolutely. So I would say self-critique for everyone. If you are not achieving the things that you say you want to achieve, I'm currently a member of the ACU, and also I'm the treasurer for the Friends of My Local Youth Club, and I'm also a member of the Taking the Initiative party and other things. And you know, if I go in there, then I'm going to do my share of the work. So for me, that's really important.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I know that we are sort of approaching our sort of closing now. What would be your closing message for those who are listening live, and indeed for those who are listening to the recordings? Okay, what would be your closing message to help and ensure that those individuals live a long, fulfilled life?
Okay. Well, one, obviously maintaining your health by good nutrition and lots of water in particular, and not, you know, drinking rubbish, these fizzy drinks and other such things. Also good interaction with family and community and friends. I think there's such a lot of good information in our communities. Most of the councils that we live in provide a range of services, free, most of them are free. Certainly I know for the elderly, there are computer courses, there are all sorts of courses. If you just go to your local library and have a look, you'll see. And you know, it's important to be active, to know what's going on in your area and how you can be part of that. I think in terms of us, it's really important that we understand and study our history, you know, not just so that we can say, oh gosh, I know so much about A, B, or C. No, so that you can make a contribution to the development of our people, and especially our children, because the truth is we are doing our children a disservice if we are going to we know most of us didn't get taught much about our history. We had to find it out for ourselves. I mean, I was very blessed during the 80s and 90s. We had people who were really interested in African development, bringing in speakers. People used to bring Sheikh Anta Diop here, Dr. Ben Yochanan, Dr. Jeffries, Tony Martin, the Garvey scholar, and a whole range of speakers. And people used to organize cultural events and conferences where we could have this exposure to this history and this legacy. So for me, if we are not passing that on to our children through whatever means, it doesn't have to be a massive, great study, 15 minutes every once or twice a week, going over the things that are important, the legacies that will impact them so that they can see the importance of, one, making a contribution, and also of being a good and, productive citizen in their own right and in the rights of their community, because what we do in the world impacts all of us. So, if we're always doing things that are dysfunctional, then people use that to judge our entire race of people internationally.
Wow. See, when an elder speaks, you see, Lady Chelsea, we listen and pay close attention. I'm going to you, Elder, before you go, of course, because I'm concerned with the Motivator Show, translate words into action, and you demonstrate actions in entirety. But what I found when doing the research on yourself is that there wasn't enough written about you. We've listened to you, and if I didn't have restricted time, we could go on for another 3 or 4 hours easily. Okay, and you clearly have the energy to do this. You see, my elder, I believe you should have your own, either a show here on Galaxy Radio, or have your own YouTube channel, and you spend maybe 15 minutes giving advice to the community. And the children, parents, and others listen to the advice being repeated again and again and again. I believe that will become a very popular channel if you were so minded. Okay, if you were so minded, because I recognize you're trying to slow down. Okay, indeed. I heard. But having read through your website, as I said, it's information rich, and I would encourage those to go to your website, which is nzingaasata.wordpress.com. Okay, the elder says, well, I've not done any work on it, but it's information rich, it's a valuable resource. I believe, and I'm going to sit down and have a further chat with Lady Chelsea, that we need to develop this. Okay, there's much you have to say, and we've got to find a method that you can communicate those wise words, because your words is not said for self, you're not getting any financial gain, it is not for self-grandizement, you're just simply concerned that the next generation will acquire the lessons, the experience, the skills of the previous generation, and they're able to stand on our shoulders and move forward. That's all. And I get that absolutely. Yourself, there are a number of other elders who have a similar caliber. And I know that the founder of this station, Incomparable, on his show only a few weeks ago, spoke about the need for an elders council. Okay, and I know that he's making contact with I believe there's an elders council somewhere here in the UK, and I believe that if you're not a member of it, you absolutely should be. And I would say that we need to record the words and wisdom of our elders, so that children can hear and see your words as spoken. As you've recited that wonderful poem on video I've shown, you and your words will resonate and will be a powerful influencer, and may go some way to mitigate the egos, the self-grandizement which is in the community, so that we realize that we are here not just for we are here for we. Yeah. Indeed. So I'll be back to you, and we'll talk about that further, my elder. But your words have been powerful. Thank you. Powerful. truly powerful. In fact, I'm going to keep quiet. I'm going to let Lady Chelsea, because she's going to pretend she doesn't know what to say. But don't want to say. Lady Chelsea, you want to say something to Elder before she leaves?
Yeah. Okay. No, thank you. Put on the spot. Okay, no, I just to say thank you for coming. I think this is one of my favorite shows that I've done. It's really informative and very inspiring, lady, and you've done a lot. And I'd like to, listen to some advice that you've done and kind of take that on board. So thank you for everything you've done for the community and for coming on the show.
And thank you very much. And it's been great talking with you, because I actually, as I said, I think I've said this to many people now, believe that it's, Frantz Fanon said that, oh, now it's gone out of my head, Frantz Fanon.
From Revolutionary Suicide book?
No, he's saying basically that the younger people must discover their mission and fulfill it or betray it. So at some point, the elders should be handing over so that the younger generation can discover their mission, because the mission that we, my age group, created, which is what led to all these race awareness programs, the Race Act and so on, is done. So what needs to be done now is where the young people will discover their mission and fulfill it or betray it, because if you betray it, it's yourselves and your children that will suffer the consequences of that. So yes, it's important that the young people are actively involved in creating the world that they want to see. Thank you very much.
Always your words so powerful and well articulated. It's been an honor to have you here. We will have you back again once you've got your new book out. Okay, we look forward to that. But I'm going to say to you, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Very welcome. Have a great day.
Yeah. And blessings to you. And again, thank you for your lifetime's work to the community.
Thank you very much. One love. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Lady Chelsea, huh? That was something else, wasn't it? Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
She could be my mother anytime, Oh, okay. Oh, my mother. These are, I say that, and I say it with certain jest, but with some seriousness as well, Of course, as the elder said, that often we're prepared to work for money at 1, 2, 3 jobs, all the hours of the day, but spend very little time actually at home, attending to the development of the children. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it has its own problems, but I'm sure it's not people's choice. But yes, that is true.
Well, there is something to be said for that, because if you're not preparing the next generation for what is to come, all the work and all the physical items you give them means nothing. Okay, absolutely. It is the time you spend in helping them to develop that is critical. It's absolutely critical, and it's been a really informative occasion. Yeah. I suppose I've got to think about opening the phone lines earlier, but I always find that
would be helpful.
But I find it so engaging. They have.
I know, maybe setting a reminder, because some people may be disappointed. You don't want to get complaints.
And what I've got to say though is that as we're on this journey and going throughout the community, identifying ordinary people involved in exceptional and outstanding work, and the elder is an example. I haven't found a handful. I haven't found hundreds. I have found thousands of people in the community, both men and women, who engage in this community development work. And I suppose one of the reasons why we are the great survivors is because there's so much in our community designed to keep the community together, despite all the negative propaganda we receive from the BBC, Sky, ITV, and so on, and those awful newspapers. You know? Despite all that, not only are we surviving, but we are actually growing. Growth is evident. And therefore, I'm really, truly optimistic for the future. Yeah. And we've got young women like yourself, you know, who are clearly acquiring the knowledge. And, you know, as you absorb it, I know your children will absolutely benefit. Huh? Yeah. Absolutely benefit, you know. I look forward to going along to your wedding, meet a young man shaking his hand. What do you mean? What are you laughing?
One day.
Our aspirations for you continues, unabated, you know. I will not be disappointed. I know I will not be disappointed. I am confident.
Right.
I'm confident to make the right choice. And I look forward to it, because we parents, that's all we want for our children, that you find love and you're comforted, you're safe, and you're able to grow together as one with your husband, you know? Why am I on that subject? Because it seems that as I speak to young people all the time, they're all about having fun, so on and so on, not really sufficiently focused on, well, we now need to build a future. We need to build a future with someone. You know, as you start to get older, you know, 20s and you get in your 30s, you know, I want young people to think about finding their soulmates. Look out for your soulmates. You know, you've got to go out and about. Find your soulmates, you know. That's my message. Find your soulmates, you know. Find is great, you know, all wonderful things, but find your soulmate, the person you're going to work with, be with, have children with, you know. And I say to those, don't just have children. You've got to grow families. Don't just have children. Grow families. I'm not saying, look, ideally you should be married, but, you know, it doesn't matter, provided you are committed to each other. Provided you are committed. Okay? Those are my closing words, really. I want to encourage, because the elder has kind of stimulated me in this regard, that make sure that the roots of this tree are deep. And they're usually only deep where men and women are coming together, where couples have come together and are solid, working together. You know, working together for the good of their families, for the children who are the center of the families. You know. They put in their personal resources for the common good of the family, because the family is the basic component of our community. Okay, so I do lament when I see large numbers of people living by themselves, you know, not connected. You know, that is a structural fault we must fulfill. We must fill it in. We must resolve it. You know, we've got to resolve it. There you are. That's my piece of wisdom. Okay, that's my piece of wisdom.
Yeah, that's fine. It was good.
I'm looking out for you. I'm looking out for you. What?
Great. No, I'm not. I'll take it. It's fine.
You never know. I've been very, very cautious for you. Anyway, our time is coming to a close. What a wonderful, stimulating experience.
Yeah, I agree.
Lady Chelsea, thank you. Yeah. What's your words? Your closing words. Come on. Time.
Oh my gosh. I suppose the main message is, you know, that have time to develop your community, to put time into that, even if it's, you know, a small amount, like our guest said, just take on what you can, and that's enough, and focus on the children.
Thank you, Lady Chelsea. And to all those who've listened and will listen to the recordings, thank you for your listening ears. May you remain strong, and may you remain safe and healthy. Blessings to you all. Blessings. Thank you, Lady Chelsea. Let's go now. I'll say to you all, enjoy your day.
Goodbye.
Remember, be safe. Bye-bye.